choices you make could get yourself and everyone under your command killed. But I believe in you, Jim.
So perfect.
Hey,
shows
that suit, man.
Well, thank you. My grandmother said if you respect someone, you have to dress to show them.
That's nice. Well, thank you, man.
Damn. What is it made out of?
I literally, it's like a Korean website on eBay. It was like $90.
Seriously?
Seriously, dude. I paid more for the tailor than I did for the suit. Seriously.
Cool.
So I'm glad you guys enjoy it.
Indeed.
I like
So there's been a lot of talk about the fact that JJ is leaving Star Trek to go to the Star Wars universe. But I was wondering if you guys could follow him, if you could see your character in the Star Wars universe, which famous Star Wars character would you like to see Spock and Kirk interact with?
Jabba the Hutt.
Yes. I'd love to see that sort of conversation.
Yeah, between Spock and Jabba the Hutt,
Yeah.
me too.
Chewie.
Chewie? Chewbacca? I can't do it. Can you do it?
It just went viral.
I have to say Han Solo.
Please tell me Uhura wouldn't leave Spock for Han Solo.
I don't know. It's Han Solo. But no,
He's Spock.
Spock is my age and
Yeah,
he's
Han's a
super
little bit-
sexy and like a warm little teddy bear, and nobody really knows about that. So I'll stay with Spock, but I'm saying Han's is kind of okay,
I thought that maybe it would be funny if Admiral Archer's Beagle, which Scotty lost in the first film, just suddenly turned up somewhere in the Star Wars universe.
Well, in the first Star Trek, can't you see R2-D2 like really briefly and
R2-D2's in every film that JJ's ever made.
Really?
Somewhere, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
But he's not going to be in the new Star Wars, weirdly.
Weirdly enough, he's going to make no appearance whatsoever.
A medical robot. The medical robot from
Empire.
into Empire.
21B.
Yeah. 21B.
21B.
I'd like to see that
Yes.
conversation.
It's what the fans are aching for, let's be honest.
This is where I expose my absolute ignorance. I don't even know what happens on Star Wars. I know, Princess Leia in the gold bikini.
Is that just like your standard kind of go-to?
Isn't she in Star Wars?
She is in Star
That's
Wars.
it.
I'd like to be a lightsaber.
You just want to be a
Yeah, if I
lightsaber?
could just wander around and go...
Darkness is coming. This could just be the beginning.
Beginning of what? All-out war.
Obviously, two of the directors that influenced you, Spielberg and Lucas, each have series that have darker installments. Spielberg has Temple of Doom, and Lucas, even though he didn't direct it, has Empire Strikes Back. So I was wondering, what's the most important lesson you learned from those guys when it comes to making a darker sequel?
Well, the goal was not to make a darker sequel, honestly. It was to make a movie that was sort of a thrilling adventure ride. And the idea was to treat it like its own thing. A standalone movie. You don't have to have seen the first film we did. You don't have to have seen, the original series. If you did, you'll be rewarded with references and things. But the goal was just to sort of make a movie that works on its own terms. A lot of sequels tend to assume that you know and care about what's going on. And so that was really important that we sort of treat it from a sort of ground-up point of view.
Right.
And there is darkness in the movie. You are up against a pretty intense, terrifying bad guy played by Benedict Cumberbatch. But I think that the approach for this movie was really, make characters that make you laugh, make you feel that you really care about, so that when they go into this sort of dark, extreme situation, you feel like it's you, that you're going into it.
Right.
So there is light in the darkness.
Right.
I request permission to go after him. I cannot allow you to do this.
Jim, you're not actually going after this guy, are you?
So many of the themes of this movie rely on the fact of breaking the rules and kind of breaking the orders of your superiors. So I was wondering, whether it be big or small, what's the most interesting disagreement you had with JJ on set?
That's a great question. That's turning the theme back on itself.
Benedict!
Oh my God.
It's okay, do you need an answer?
That's
Time out!
That's a few dollars in the jar. Not time out on your interview. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm in the middle of a press interview and my phone went off with your name on it. I'm so sorry, Nina Gold. So we were in the middle before my phone went off of talking about disagreements and you were talking about authority figures and asking me what was my big disagreement with my authority figures and JJ, the real captain in the captain's chair, and there was a scene that's been cut that I would love. It might be in the DVD extra, who knows, but it wouldn't have made sense in his shaping of the film. But I disagreed because obviously I'd worked very, very hard for it, and it was just.
Can you describe what the scene is without any sort of Would it be a spoiler?
I don't know if it no, not for what people get to see in the cinema. Absolutely not. But it might. I don't know. The internet might melt down a bit because it was a topless scene for me.
They cut a topless scene.
And I'd worked very hard to
come on
something, you know. Well, we'll see. Maybe there was good cause. Maybe I just wasn't buff enough. Maybe that's what it was.
I can think of one, which was there's an action sequence at the end of the film, a fight that Spock has with John Harrison, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and in the original script, in the movie, Uhura actually beams down and intervenes in order to make sure that that Harrison's taken alive, and I wasn't sure that fit into the context of this brutal and epic battle that they had been going through, and so I had a lot of conversations with JJ about that.
That's an interesting question. You know what? I don't ever recall disagreeing with him, but you know, when you're working with JJ. You're filled with so much confidence that even if he gives you a piece of direction or a line that you think is contrary to your character, you do it because you have the faith that he's got your back. And I think that's one of the most enjoyable things about working with him, is you trust him.
I have a book that my father-in-law gave me, who's Glaswegian, Scott, and it's called The Patter, and it's full of very, very funny Scottish colloquialisms. And occasionally I try and slip the odd one in. But if it was in the middle of a very important piece of exposition, JJ would come up to me and say, "Simon, we need to understand what you're saying."
What would be an example of one that you would slip in?
I can't remember. I think in the bit when I say about when the door's small, I go, "It's very wee," and he said, "Just say it's small in case, because not everyone knows what wee means." So I go, "It's very small. I mean wee."
Before we were ready to shoot the second movie, it was deciding or you know, making that choice in terms of where we saw Uhura and Spock. In this installment versus how we saw them last time.
Mm-hmm. What was the biggest difference in terms of the idea that he had versus the idea that you had?
That I think for me it was just that, you know, that it needed to be dealt with. Mm-hmm. You know, you saw them, they're together,
right.
And in this one, if you weren't going to address that relationship or what we had just seen in the first installment, then, you know, it was going to raise a lot of questions.
I know fans of us want us to go ahead and address what's going on with us, because, you know, we left them wondering last time what our deal is, so I guess we should address our relationship.
Should we? No, but we can't, because what if Spock finds out?
We'll talk off camera.
Okay.
Let's go get this son of a bitch.
Whenever you talked with me for the first Star Trek movie, the first junket, you told me something interesting. You said, one of my biggest advantages coming in was that I'm not necessarily a huge Star Trek fan, which I thought was very interesting. Mm-hmm. But I have it on a good account that you are a huge Star Wars fan. Mm-hmm. So is that going to be a disadvantage for you going in?
You know, it may be, although being aware of that, making sure that we're sort of, you know, I want to mitigate any concerns, because I don't feel like it's not like any and everything Star Wars is great. There's a certain sort of specific feeling I have about that series, and I feel like I'm surrounded by incredible people with Kathy Kennedy and Michael Arndt, Larry Kasdan, Simon Kinberg. These are great, you know, minds that we're all sort of checks and balances on each other to make sure that no one is going into this making a fanboy film, but rather a movie that, again, you know, works on its own merits.
You are a pawn, Kirk.
Sir, there's a ship heading right for us.
You can't even guarantee the safety of your own crew. Now, shall we begin?
I'm sorry.
Now, there are so many different things that you guys can pull from, you know, going forward with the different Star Trek films. You can pull from the series or the past films. But what is one aspect of the Star Trek universe that you absolutely never want to see in the upcoming films?
Probably Shatner's toupee.
We're going to be there.
Oh my God. It's a matter of time.
Some of those old sort of... I love the more sort of timely elements of the original series, like the sort of 60s feel, some of those kind of hippy-dippy moments, like on Shore Leave, you know, when they're all dancing around with flowers. But yeah, some of those more sort of cheesy 60s moments in the original Star Trek would be hard pushed to get them across seriously.
Fair enough. Why don't we do a positive spin?
Okay, what is something that you definitely want to see in the upcoming
I would like to
films?
see the character of Charlie X in on the upcoming film.
Okay, now I don't know that character very well. You're gonna explain.
You're fired. It's over. This between us is over.
Wait, there was something between us?
There was lots of history. I've known you since 2010.
Oh, Charlie X! I love Charlie X!
There you go.
Oh my God, he's fantastic. That's
There
gonna be
you go.
great.
I feel like we should go the other way and say, what's the one we do want to see, don't you? You want to go rogue. You want to go dark.
Totally.
I think Ponfar. I want to see some Ponfar.
Some mustache.
I want to see a goatee. I will have a goatee in the next movie. Did they
Really?
not tell you that?
Is this the exclusive?
It's in my contract. Yeah.
Like a
totally.
Mr. Miyagi
Yeah,
goatee.
just down here, maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
the Spock goatee.
It may or may not sort of come together down here, but I'm excited for that.
I wish I could grow a goatee. This is like 3 weeks worth. This is as good as it gets.
Keep
man.
on going, man.
I'm trying. This is
Work it out.
much more
You're
than you
getting
would
there.
think it is.
You're getting there.
We're outnumbered, outgunned.
You know, obviously, you make films that have a lot of tributes to the directors that you loved growing up. And I was wondering if a kid out there right now is loving your films and is inspired by you, and he makes a film in 20 or 30 years and wants to pay tribute to J.J. Abrams. What is that film going to look like?
You probably won't be able to see the action because there'll be so many lens flares. No, I don't know. I mean, the truth is that I have no idea, nor do I want to try and figure out what my style is, my approach is. But I do know that the movies I've loved, and you name some of the hugely influential directors that I have loved, usually those films are movies that take characters that are relatable, that you connect to, that make you laugh, and throw those characters into absolutely extraordinary situations. And those are the stories for me that kind of blow my mind and kind of get me excited about not just those films, but being alive, because it sort of makes you feel like things are anything is possible. And that to me it's really important for me that when people go to see Star Trek Into Darkness, that they leave feeling better about themselves, they feel more like uplifted, and that to me is something that I've always loved about film.
I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I only know what I can do.
I've always wondered, just as a movie geek, there's been so much, amazement about the fact that you guys have been able to keep all the secrecy surrounding this movie, which in today's day and age is very hard to do. But hypothetically, if you were to let something major slip, like on a talk show or something, what would actually happen to you?
I think the worst punishment would be your own sense of shame, because we are all committed to looking after this film and looking after the audience's response to it, because the vast majority of people want to go in and be surprised and have all that intact, even the ones that might look at spoilers by accident, because they can't quite, people need to be cosseted, they need to be protected from themselves sometimes. The thing is about spoilers is that they're an anesthetic. They stop you from experiencing the tension and excitement, and sometimes that's not a good thing. So it's all very important to us to keep the secrets, and if we let them slip, we feel like
I think they may hang me or the guillotine or maybe just take one of my hands.
Really?
Yeah.
Just that? Who would be worse to deal with, that phone call from Paramount or the phone call from J.J. Abrams?
For my heartstrings, it would be JJ. For the part of my body I would be losing in the guillotine, it would be Paramount.
I would probably be shut down and put in a box and never see the light of day again.
Fair enough. A fair punishment, I think.
Knowing JJ, him being the incredible Wizard of Oz that he is, I'm sure he would spin it in such a way that he would confuse people more than he already does with the amount of secrecy. But there's all sorts of signing contracts and non-disclosure agreements, and I don't know what would actually
We would be
happen.
exiled.
Exiled. Let's just be honest.
Brad Gray's prison guards would put this, and
there would be flying monkeys to carry us off.
For sure. Guys, I could talk to you all day. Would you mind if I brought it over for a hug?
Sure, bring it over.
I'm bringing it over for a hug.
Oh,
I love you
group hug,
guys.
group hug. All right.
I love you guys.
Be well, man.
The ship's dead, sir. She's gone.
No, she's not.
What I've always loved is the fact that you've been able to always keep so much secret about your project, whether it be something you directed or something that you've produced. But I was wondering, in the course of your career, whether it be movies or TV shows, what is the secret that's gotten out that has bugged you the most?
I guess the most annoying thing that got out was a script I wrote for a movie that was a Superman film years ago, and the script got out and it got reviewed online. It was an earlier draft of the script. It was just one of those things that was not meant to be seen by anyone, not even the studio, frankly, because it was such an early draft. But it was one of those things that, got reviewed. And look, the movie ended up not getting made anyway. But it was one of those things that made me realize that you need to be really careful when you are working on something that, especially for fans, that you want people to experience for the first time when they see the film, not because they read the script or a review online.
Right.
So it's one of those things that I think it's really about the respect for the viewers. It's not about being clever or kind of hoard information.
Right.
It's really about wanting people to get their money's worth. When they go to the film, you don't want it to be the second time you've seen it. You want it to be the first time.
Right.
So that was really what sort of motivated my desire to keep things quiet.
For sure. Mr. Abrams, I could talk to you all day. On behalf of movie geeks everywhere, is it okay if I hug you?
Sure.
Come on.
Come here.
Bring it in. Oh my God, this is a great moment for me. Seriously, such an honor. Thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
so
I
much.
appreciate
Really
it. Take care.
appreciate it. Thank
Take care, guys.
No ship should go down without her captain.
I believe in you, Jim.